Man, I swear y'all do not fuck with Frank Martin. If Frank Martin beat Tank, then this might be the biggest upset ever. Even bigger than the time Francis Ngannou beat Tyson Fury. At the end of the day, anything can happen. Just make sure y'all watch to the end so you can see who I think will win this fight. For those of you who don't know me, it's Coach Dre, and today we're gonna figure out if Frank Martin has what it takes to beat Tank Davis. Alright, so let's start off with going over Frank Martin's strengths and his weaknesses. But let's start off with his weaknesses first. Alright. So his number one weakness would be that he doesn't have as much experience as Tank. Frank Martin started boxing when he was 18, but he's super athletic. And from my experience, people who are super athletes, they tend to pick up boxing a little faster than other people. But that doesn't mean that he necessarily has what it takes to beat Tank. Especially since Tank started off boxing when he was just 7. But we all know that doesn't always mean something, especially in the pros, you know. But still, it may play a part. We'll see. His second weakness, he doesn't have a lot of head movement unless a punch is thrown. Luckily he's fast, but he still gets hit a lot due to his lack of head movement. And it's kind of weird because sometimes he'll just like stand there and just get hit, and it comes off as if his skills aren't like all the way polished yet. And this happens a lot, especially after he's throwing a combo. Sometimes he'll just really freeze in a horrible position with his hands down and just like staring like he forgot where he was. Could be that early CTE kicking in. So yeah, constant head movement is key when it comes to going up against a precise fighter like Gervonta Davis. His third weakness is he tends to drop his hand a lot after shooting his jab, which is a problem because he's doing it from a high guard, which leaves a lot of openings for counters. Like, it's one thing to just jab and then bring your hand back to position. It's another thing to start here, jab, drop it, and bring it back up like this, you know? One is more intentional, the other one is more of an accident, and you're not always going to see that counter coming back to hit you. Now, it's possible that he can use this in his advantage and bait tape by like jabbing, slipping and crossing, or jabbing, pulling and crossing, by making them like constantly think that that opening is there. But, you know, will he do that? Maybe if he watches this video, he might add it to his repertoire. His fourth weakness, which kind of ties into the first one, he hasn't fought the same level as like caliber fighters that Tank has fought. It almost made me question how he even got the fight for real. But since he hasn't fought that same level of caliber, it's kind of hard to say how really good he is, you know, because he has good skills, but it's like, is it working against a lower level competition? Will it work against this higher level? So I guess we'll see in a couple weeks though. His fifth, and I'm gonna call it his last weakness, is he tends to back up a lot. I noticed a lot in his last fight, especially he would back up and he was getting caught a lot while backing up. At one point, he even crouched down like this and covered up, which is a weird reaction to have for a fighter at such a high level. Despite his weaknesses, he still has a lot of redeeming qualities as well. So let's go over his strengths a little bit. 1, as I mentioned earlier, he's super athletic and he has a lot of power. Like, dog can hit hard as shit. Like, I was watching his fight versus Marinas, and I swear I could feel those punches the way he was hitting. But will that same power hold up against higher level competition? Number 2, one thing I really appreciate about him is his constant switching up of defenses. Like, he'll constantly boom, boom, switch his guard, but he doesn't do a whole lot of head movement, at least from what I've been paying attention to. He doesn't do a whole lot of head movement without punches coming at him, which some people may not find that a problem. I just know that it's easier to avoid punches if you're already moving, whereas he kind of waits for a punch to come and then he moves, which is cool if you're trying to bait somebody, but I watched him get hit over and over and over again by not constantly moving his head. So if he can add that into his already like pretty good defense, then his defense would go up even more, in my opinion. Number 3, Frank Martin has a really good jab. The use of his jab to set up powerful shots and to stop his opponents dead in their tracks is going to be key if he wants to have any chance on beating Tank. Alright, so we just went over Frank's strengths and his weaknesses, so let's go over his keys to winning. So Frank Martin does like to stay in the pocket and bang it out, pause. And I think that's something he might have to tap into more in order to up his chances on winning. And as we all know, Isaac Cruz was probably Tank's most toughest fight, and he just pressured him the whole fight. And it was kind of hard to tell who was winning some rounds, I would say, because of the pressure. But overall, I believe Tank won because his punches were more effective. And I think Frank can hit harder than Cruz, but again, we haven't seen it on that level of competition, how hard he can really hit. But if he can hit as hard as Cruz, then, you know, maybe that'll help him win. We'll see. At the end of the day, Frank is a hell of a fighter, but that doesn't mean that he's without flaws, as we previously mentioned. In his defense, he has taken over a year off, so hopefully he's been using that time off to tighten up. If not, then Tank might take advantage of him. Pause. Either way, if I had to put money on it, which I no longer do after that Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney fight, but if I did have to put money on it, I will put my money on Tank. It's hard to go against. But again, anything can happen, especially at this level. But let me know who y'all got winning down in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright y'all, until next time.